Good afternoon and thank you for joining us on CoreTV News at 4. My name is Olajumoke Olatuji. The Senate has postponed the screening of ministerial nominees till next Thursday. The upper legislative Next Tuesday, the upper legislative chamber said on its Twitter handle at NGR Senate. Ladies and gentlemen, there will be no ministerial screening today, but we will continue on Tuesday, October 20th, 2015. We will tweet service of new nominees. The end of quote. The development was later confirmed by the Senate spokesman, Dino Melaye, in a chat with newsmen. The senator representing Lagos East at the National Assembly, Benga Ashafa, has urged the 18 newly confirmed ministers to hit the ground running in the onerous task of pulling Nigeria back from the brink. He says though the task is a daunting one, he's confident in the abilities of the new set of ministers to make a success of their time on the Federal Executive Council and move Nigeria forward. He added that he believes that this new team will take Nigeria to greater heights. Going further, he called on the new ministers to make the people of Nigeria and the All Progressives Congress proud by ensuring that change is presented by the party and represented by President Buhari and Vice President Osinbajo comes to the household of every Nigerian. Ashafa also expressed his delight at the poise, intelligence and sagacity shown by a former Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola, his state counterpart Kaide Fayemi, before the Senate. He described this as a confirmation of the political vision of the national leader of the party, Bola Tinubu. Former Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola used the opportunity of the confirmation hearing to clear the air on issues surrounding the 78 million naira expenditure on the personal website. Senator Inaya Baribe raised it in the course of the screening by asking whether Fashola indeed spent that much on the website.
Sign checks. None of my commissioners signs checks. I have never signed a check. I don't fix contract prices. It's an institutional process. The only training I have is that of a lawyer. But in order to execute a civil works project, we need the input of architects, we need the input of quantity surveyors, we need the input of structural engineers. There's a process, and we have consulting ministries. For civil works, it is Ministry of Works. For science and technology, it's Ministry of Science and Technology. For environmental drainage and so, it's a combination of Ministry of Environment and Works. Now, periodically, they do market surveys with the Ministry of Economic Planning, the statisticians there, and fix the price of every item, from biro to iron rod to cement. It is approved, and that is the benchmark price for government procurement. Nobody can award any contract over that benchmark price.
The Women for Equity and Fairness Organization of Nigeria says the inclusion of only 4 women in the ministerial list by President Muhammadu Buhari amounts to total marginalization. Our correspondent Nathan Labari, who was at the march by the group, filed in this report presented from our studios.
Different reasons have been adduced for the low level of women participation in politics. For some, women cannot muster the required strength to weather the storm that comes with participation in politics. Coordinator of the group says it is not ideal for a woman married outside of her state to be subjected to all sorts of abuse, all because of her nomination.
And we need to let him know that it is a woman that made him what he is today. If a woman did not have him, he will not be president today. So he should think and be sensitive to women and include women in his government. She is somebody we know. She is somebody that has been tested internationally. So we need her there, and we need more women there. More women in his administration. We are not second-class citizens in Nigeria. We are full-fledged Nigerian citizens. So we need to be a partaker of the administration, a partaker of the Nigerian national pie.
For the vice president of the group, the president should be gender positive in his appointments.
We want to engender Buhari. We're engendering Buhari today. He has to be engendered. We need more women in government. We need inclusive governance.
According to the group, since women make up a substantial part of the population, their continued marginalization must stop.
Mixed reactions have continued to trail the screening process of the ministerial nominees of President Muhammadu Buhari. Media professionals say a thorough job was not done in profiling each candidate's presence at the Senate for screening. Former DG of the National Broadcasting Commission, Yomi Bolaniwa, enjoined pressmen to do more investigative job on each candidate to properly educate the public, while his colleagues joined the successful ministerial candidate to introduce fresh ideas that could make Nigeria a better place.
When the broadcaster got the ministerial list, I believe we should have done research even before the screening. You give the public enough information about the candidate, and so when he goes to the Senate, people have an idea where he's coming from. Now, they read the Senate, they say, read into your CV. The man stands here, takes the good points from his CV and reads it. Whereas if the broadcasters have done enough research, they will be able to educate the public about this man.
I think the president should just pick those within the law, pick those he thinks he can work with, and let's move the nation ahead. Our economy is dwindling, things are going down, so we don't have all that time for this kind of hype.
We should just we should let them start first. We shouldn't just be thinking that it's not going to work, but let's give the government the support in making things happen.
Nigerians expected a lot of change, a departure from the norm, especially given that, I mean, we've seen a lot of people come and go, especially in such exalted positions in this country. I, for one, expected that you would at least step off that pedestal a little bit, ease it off a little bit, bring in fresh minds, fresh hands, fresh ideas into the fray.
President Muhammadu Buhari has been officially presented with the National Identity Card. Director General of the National Identity Monitoring Commission, Chris Oyeneman, did the presentation at the brief ceremony at the President's Javida in Abuja. The President didn't make any comments during the presentation, but Oyeneman explained that 20 million Nigerians have already been captured in NIMC's database.
This is how each Nigerian will receive the card, because it will be sealed, it will be opened only by the individual, after which the card will be taken out, inspected. There's provision for where to sign at the back, and then the activation would involve the use of this equipment. At the state and local government levels where they are used, it's based on a network, and so you just plug in. But for us to bring it here, we have to create a mobile solution. This mobile solution is what we also have in the mobile enrollment kits that would be used to walk into the rural areas and distant villages in the hinterland and also in the creeks.
The House of Representatives has resolved to constitute an ad hoc committee to investigate the process leading to and eventual sale of the country's power assets by the Bureau of Public Enterprise. The resolution followed a motion on the need to investigate the alleged non-transparent and fraudulent sale of power assets by BPE tabled by Chike Okafo, representing Okigwe South constituency. The committee is expected to determine if there were malpractices involved in the process or if the privatization rules were breached.
Constitute an ad hoc committee to investigate the processes and sale of all aspects of power assets in Nigeria by the BPE to determine if there were malpractices and misconduct in the exercise, and also whether appropriate value was had for money, and determine if any person breached the rules and the law. Secondly, recommend any changes in the process of sale of government assets and any changes in existing laws, if any, in order to protect the interests of the Nigerian people. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues of the 8th Assembly, I so move.
In favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those against it say nay. The ayes have it.
We'll take a quick break. I'll be back on my stories. Please stay with us.
Is it warocracy or autocracy? Or what type of crazy is that? Except crazy.
News making the headlines.
Black Maria is to carry criminals, trading looters that are in government today.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
Slap you in the face. Excuse me, don't put words into my mouth. Whatever it is that will bring our military to the Supreme. I said to hell
on Core Digest.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
Every weekday, we'll bring all of these together and take them to the court of public opinion.
Everybody have the right in Nigeria.
Where you are the judge.
Some pundits believe that as long as the political system is driven by selected few, corruption may be difficult to fight.
Be careful about what you say.
I am not the only politician. Even if I've wronged anyone, it's time to forgive me.
Please for Arena every Sunday at 9:15 p.m. and a repeat broadcast every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m.
Thank you for joining us again. For more on the news and other programs, please visit our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can follow us on Twitter at CoreTV News NG. Also visit our YouTube channel at youtube.com/CoreTV, leave a space, then news. The National Assembly Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Abuja has upheld the victory of Senate Minority Leader Godswill Akpabio, representing Akwa Ibom Northwest Senatorial District. The petitioner Ininabel Kore had challenged Senator Akpabio's victory, alleging that the election was marred by irregularities. But the tribunal chairman, Justice Godi Anuhino, wrote that the petitioner failed to prove allegations of electoral malpractices beyond reasonable doubt. Basil Okafo has won this report presented from our studios.
The court premises were filled to capacity with supporters of the All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party from Akwa Ibom State. They had gathered to hear the judgment, and as soon as the tribunal chairman delivered the final verdict, Akpabio's supporters went wild with jubilation. Reacting to the judgment, the petitioner and his supporters vowed to appeal the decision. They insisted that the tribunal erred by upholding the election of Senator Akpabio.
Will be tested at the higher court. I am very confident of victory. Victory shall certainly come at last. That is my position.
I want to say that I'm not happy at all with the judgment. They were all along conflicting, right from even the chairman of the panel. His analysis and conclusions were all conflicting.
Even as the petitioner heads to the appellate court, he has been ordered by the tribunal to pay 30,000 naira each to all the respondents in the suit as costs. However, defense counsel Femi Ogunyemi and Akpabio's supporters described the tribunal's decision as a landmark judgment.
The judgment you have seen today is a very, very sound one. The tribunal looked at all the issues dispassionately and came to a good judgment. I must say that all the lawyers, all the parties did their best. This is how judgment is, and we have said no victor, no vanquished. The senator is doing his level best to represent his constituency, and in fact, Akwa Ibom State in general and Nigeria to move democracy forward.
Well, first of all, I must also, even if I'm not a lawyer, I must commend the dexterity of the tribunal and listen to the detailed judgment and on all issues, and I had the conclusions. As a party, we fielded, of course, the uncommon former governor, Chief Godswill Akpabio, and as a party, we campaigned vigorously, and at the end of the election, he won. So coming to court, I saw it as, a waste of energy and waste of time.
For now, the Senate Minority Leader will concentrate on his legislative duties, at least pending the filing and eventual determination of the appeal.
The members of the House of Representatives have asked that relevant provisions of the 1999 Constitution be respected in compliance with President Muhammadu Buhari's directive on the recruitment of 10,000 new police officers. They noted the abuse of some sections of the Constitution during previous recruitment exercises by federal agencies. The federal lawmakers' demand for due compliance with federal character in police recruitment is in line with the motion tabled by the member representing Al-Kalari, Kiri constituency of Bauchi State and 79 others.
Must be national in its characteristics and fabric, and hence the prayers in this motion. Secondly, if the local governments are considered as the building bricks on the physical geomorphology of the project Nigeria, and this recruitment starts with the allotment of this 1010, we would have mopped out 7,740 out of the 10,000 based on equity, fair play, geographical distribution, and therefore remain taking about over 75% where people will be happy, and there is no single local government that cannot produce 10 police officers and men in Nigeria.
Now to Osun State, where the state government and host communities of the 4 state-owned tertiary institutions are yet to come to terms on the proposed merger and restructuring of the tertiary institutions. Spokesperson for one of the host communities, Ire, in Borekpe local government area, Fasasi or Latoke, who addressed Newsland in Ire, says it is imperative in the interest of peace for the state government to reconsider the proposed plan to merge the institutions and reduce the courses offered in the school, while appealing to the government to reconsider the restructuring moves, which he says will eventually lead to loss of jobs for many.
An institution that has stand the test of time like Ire and the other 3 other institutions for complete 3 decades, it cannot be rationalized this 21st century. What I will say, when you match a class, how can you have this type of class or this? This is what you resort to. So every lecture you receive a lecture theater, some will be playing obesity, some will be playing something, and the lecturer will be talking with himself. We want a standard, and there is a standard, and everything is put here. There is a standard a classroom should maintain, and there is capacity, and all the courses here are fully accredited. We have an institution that is responsible for that. The capacity is okay, the student population is okay. We don't see any reason. We don't want anybody to come and go on.
Whether some people believe that we are not merging or not, it is left to those people. We are clear that what we want to do is to restructure those institutions, one, to ensure that there are no duplicity in terms of what they do. You cannot have 2 polytechnics doing computer studies on 2 campuses. 2 polytechnics doing financial accounting on 2 campuses within the same resources of the state. Every policy that has this kind of prospect is always opposed by reactionary element. But the job of the government of Rauf Aregbesola is to make policies for today that will ensure that the future of the state is assured.
Now, members of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, NURTW, unleashed terror in many parts of the city in Ekiti State. They were said to be protesting against the directive of the National Executive of the Union to harmonize the state executive to integrate the aggrieved members, as all traffic gridlock was experienced in the major streets of Ado-Ekiti, while commuters were subjected to hard times. The NURTW in the state is polarized into 2, with one faction led by caretaker Chairman Clement Adekola, while the other faction, allegedly marginalized, is led by Kunle Babatukwe.
When the Boko Haram honorables, when they invaded the state, you stood your ground, you supported me, you drove them away. Today, it is very obvious that they are the problem. Yes. And we are peace-loving people. Yeah. But if we do anything to the contrary now, we will change the table. We will turn the table against ourselves. I therefore, one, want to sue for peace. I want to assure you that your enemies will be my enemies.
The key driver for the digital technology in Nigeria is creation and acquisition of innovative and compelling local and international content in the post-digital migration era. With this in mind, the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria organized a two-day international summit on content management for digital broadcasting in West Africa, which brought professionals in the broadcast media to brainstorm on migration to digital television. Our correspondent Nitin Labar has the report.
Content creation and management are key issues in digital transmission technology, which leads access to abundance of channels and broadcast content to viewers. The former NBC DG says creativity is needed in putting content on television.
The major challenge is our creativity, our ability to put things together. You need to put things together before you think about money.
To a large extent, I want to believe that media is doing well because of the way and manner they've taken it, and the way they expose and they let enlighten the people.
For his part, CEO Newstag says in the digital world we need collaboration between stakeholders and content producers to manage programs on television.
We build some collaboration between the stakeholders. That's part of the reason I'm here. We try to be disruptive but non-destructive. And what we try to do is to balance the stakeholders. When I say stakeholders, we have the content owners, which is sometimes content producers, the broadcasters, or what have you. I say the brands, because they're also part of this, the users, and the world around us.
Panelists also brainstorm on getting content for television station.
And what I think all members on the panel so far have said over these past 2 days is, let us accept that change is here. The media landscape will continue to change and evolve, so we should prepare.
Social media have either positive or negative effect on children and adults. It is hoped that digital transmission will disseminate rightful information both at the rural and urban areas.
We use mid-media approaches where we use things like street theatre.
Now, Muslims in Osun State convert to welcome the new year of Islamic calendar, Hijraj 1437 AH. First of Muharram is the first of the year in the Islamic calendar. In Osun State, Wednesday was declared as a public holiday to mark the new year, and Islamic faithful are gathered to commemorate the day. In his message at the occasion, Osun State Governor Ralph Arwichala, represented by his Chief of Staff, Wega Oyetola, affirmed that his government will not discriminate against any religion. He urged the people of the state to pay their taxes regularly. Islamic scholars appealed to Muslims to use the occasion to rededicate themselves to the service of God and humanity. They say this is the time to move away from evil deeds and be more committed to religious activities.
We assure them that this year will be better than the previous year. They should not have any reason to doubt the genuineness of this administration. They are doing their civic responsibility of payment of tax. They will deliver the more desired dividend of democracy.
Whether what we mean by migration is for you to migrate from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbid to the rule and instruction of Allah. So the hijrah is, the essence is that for us to know that we must have sincere faith in Allah. We must know that victory is for Islam.
So it's a form of celebration and also praying to usher in the new year, that for good things to come in the nearest future, for Buhari to be successful, for Nigeria to be peaceful, for Boko Haram to be eliminated in entirety.
Shares Thanksgiving and encourage each and every one of us to remember the less privileged, just like the 4-1 orphanage home. That's why these children are brought here. Many people are not aware that we have them in our midst.
To commemorate a new calendar in a Muslim year, the Nasfat Zakat Sadakat Foundation embarked on a charity outreach to indigent Nigerians in order to restore hope and joy to them. Muslim clerics also charged political leaders to imbibe the quality of Prophet Muhammad, who led with the principle of integrity and compassion for his followers. The details.
Literally speaking, Idra indicates moving from one place to another to live there. To take it symbolically, Idra denotes shunning bad habits, traditions and so on, or abandoning a certain culture to adopt another. The Chief Missioner of Nasfat, Abdullahi Akimbodi, upped on the need for Nigerians to emulate the example of Prophet Muhammad by towing the path of peace, love and togetherness.
We believe by the time we all cooperate with unity of purpose, with one mind, Nigeria will come back again, economically, politically, and in all situations of life.
Speaking to the gathering, guest lecturer Rahim Dodo urged Muslim brothers and sisters to live a holy life as well as lend a helping hand to the needy in the society.
Religious life will influence socio, economic, educational, and judicial life of people by contributing in the way of admonishing and delivering the message of Allah.
For the General Manager of Agency for Zakat Sadakat, Abib Ahmed, the highest form of Idra is the Idra of the act to Allah through worshipping Him sincerely, in secret and in public, in addition with the substance to the less privileged.
Muslims should remain steadfast and have the full belief that whatever we're doing, we'll all definitely meet it with our Lord and Creator.
The event was capped with the distribution of cash gifts to indigent Nigerians to help them start up a business, in addition to distribution of generators, tailoring machine, refrigerators, gas cooker, amongst other appliances.
A value for language, culture and tradition was the key message at the 2015 celebration of the local festival. The leader for the People's Congress, Gani Adams, said the knowledge and appreciation of our culture and history makes one a true Nigerian, thus turning practice that makes individuals from different tribes forget their source.
Nigeria is the only country that did not attach importance to their language. Even Ghana, as an English country in West Africa, could not toy with their languages. Even a country that have a multi-languages, they make sure they retain it. They encourage their peoples from different tribes to promote their language. It's unfortunate that previous governments have tactically played down our mother tongue in the schools. Be you Yoruba, Igbo and Hausa language. It should be had in the curriculum, and it should be a policy that any person that wants to gain an admission to federal and state university should choose one mother tongues, either Yoruba, Igbo or Hausas.
We'll take another quick break. I'll be back on business. Please stay with us.
This is what the people are saying.
You don't run a big economy with generator. They need to do more in terms of energy and power.
Many things to do for this Nigeria about lights, water, and new TT.
For Nigerians that are not gullible, we know that good laws have done nothing good for this country.
Buhari won the election convincingly.
Talk to our husband that you should keep promise about what you said, and because people are watching you, you know, another election is coming.
Also, some people will strong for Yoruba land, will be strong man, we don't die.
This nation is moving forward. The best is going to take place.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
Now, the World Bank says it is worried that in the coming decades, global growth will depend on young people whose capacity are underutilized because they have been denied employment opportunities. This is contained in a report by the bank focusing on world economic outlook. The World Bank Group and others say youth joblessness is a persistent problem but needs to be acted upon before it's too late. The bank added that while circumstances may differ in various regions, the report added that the inability of youths to find sustainable productive work contributes to inequality, spurs social tension, and poses a risk to present and future national global prosperity and security. The report showed that young people are by inclination more entrepreneurial than adults, and we now know that of all the interventions government, private sector, and civil society implement to address youth employment, providing support to early entrepreneurs is the most effective. The bank thereby called on all governments of the world to work together to address the problem which it says will affect global development. Nigeria has imposed a state of emergency on the southeastern region of Diffa, where at least 40 people have been killed in recent attacks blamed on Boko Haram. The state of emergency will allow authorities to beef up security, impose a curfew, and restrict the movement of goods and people, according to a statement on state television. The government has instituted similar measures in February. Nigeria, Cameroon, and Chad have all suffered a spillover of violence from Boko Haram's northern Nigeria strongholds, and Nigeria has arrested at least 1,100 suspected Boko Haram militants this year. Diffa has endured at least 57 attacks since February. Statistics from the United Nations revealed at least 150,000 refugees seeking protection from Boko Haram attacks in Nigeria live in Nigeria's Diffa region. And outside Nigeria, administration's officials have said the United States is to extend its military presence in Afghanistan beyond 2016. President Barack Obama is expected to outline the plans later. They are expected to include keeping 5,500 troops in the country when he leaves office in 2017. Originally, all but a small-based force were due to leave by the end of next year, but the U.S. military says more troops will be needed to help Afghan forces counter a growing Taliban threat. There are currently 9,800 U.S. troops stationed in Afghanistan. Last week, the top U.S. military commander in Afghanistan, General John Campbell, says the U.S. must consider boosting its military presence there beyond 2016. The U.S. forces will be stationed in 4 locations in Kabul, Bagram, Jalalabad, and Kandahar. European leaders are to discuss measures to ease the region's migration crisis, with Turkey the focus of their efforts in Brussels. Nearly 600,000 migrants have reached the EU by sea so far this year. Turkey is hosting some 2 million migrants, and most of them fleeing the war in neighboring Syria. Ahead of the summit, German Chancellor Angela Merkel stressed the need for a joint EU effort to tackle the crisis and said Turkey played a key role. Speaking at the German parliament on Thursday morning, she said most war refugees that come to Europe travel via Turkey. According to her, Germany wouldn't be able to order and stem the refugee movement without working together with Turkey and others. Now, Volkswagen has been ordered to recall 2.4 million cars in Germany by the country's automotive watchdog as a result of the diesel emissions scandal. Suggests the KBA earlier rejected Volkswagen proposal the car owners could voluntarily bring their cars in for repair. Meanwhile, Italian police have raided Volkswagen's office in Verona and Lamborghini's office in Bologna. Reports suggest Italian prosecutors are investigating alleged commercial fraud. Now, separately, the man tipped to become Volkswagen's North American boss has resigned. The company said Winfried Valland was leaving because of differing views on the organization of the new group region. Last month, authorities in the U.S. discovered some VW diesel cars had been fitted with a device to cheat emissions tests. The car maker subsequently admitted that up to 11 million cars worldwide could have the device fitted. Now in sport. The Super Eagles striker Odion Ighalo says he hopes to score against Arsenal in Saturday's English Premier League game. Igala scored 5 goals in 8 EPL games and netted one of the goals when Nigeria beat Cameroon 3-0 in last weekend's friendly in Belgium. The forward added that his team's target is to try and play good football, defend well and take any opportunities that come to score goals. Igala, who observed that the Gunners play the best football in England, added that Watford would try and do something in the game. The former Udinese forward, however, disclosed that his preparation ahead of the game is not special. And finally, Olympic and Paralympic athlete Oscar Pistorius, jailed for killing his girlfriend, is to be freed from prison to house arrest next Tuesday, according to a South African parole board. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison in 2014 after being found guilty of culpable homicide and manslaughter. He shot Rivers Timpen through a locked bedroom door but said he thought she was an intruder. The prosecution has appealed, saying he should instead be convicted of murder. That case is expected to be heard on 3rd of November, and Pistorius has spent 12 months in jail and will now spend the rest of his sentence under what is termed in South Africa correctional supervision. An earlier decision to release him in August was blocked by South Africa's Justice Minister, Michael Masutha, who said it had been made prematurely. Well, that is a wrap on CoreTV News at 4 minutes. Thanks for watching. I'm Elijah Wakil. Good afternoon.